Okay, do we have the ability to go live?
Madam Chair, you are live.
Thank you. All right, it is 5:04, and I'm calling to order the Finance Committee for today, June 24th. There we go. Can we get a roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councillor Cassett,
Here.
Councillor Lindell, Councillor Faulkner,
Here.
Councillor Lee Garcia,
He's on his way.
Chair Romero Worth.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Right, terrific. Let's see. We need to approve the agenda. Do we have any changes tonight to the agenda?
Madam Chair, no changes from staff.
Okay, any changes for the committee? And if not, is there a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve this item. All those in favor, aye. Anybody opposed? That motion passes. We are on to the consent agenda. I do believe we have some items from consent. Director Oster, am I removed?
Yes, Madam Chair, there were 3 items removed from consent. Item C, item Y, and item AC.
Any other items the committee's interested in tonight? And if not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve is amended. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended. All those in favor, aye. Anybody opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so our consent agenda, we have no presentations tonight. I am working to get a, what do we call it? A third quarter? What do we call it? What do we call it?
Madam Chair, the quarterly report
Quarterly report. That's what I'm.
for the 3rd quarter. We are planning to have that on the agenda for July 8th, the next meeting.
Right. So that's the closest that we have to budget to actuals until we get Questica going. And so I was hoping to do that tonight, but we need a little bit more time. So no presentations tonight, but just a preview of coming attractions. So with that, we're going to consent, and we have item C pulled. Item C is a request to for approval of amendment number 5 to item 19-0341 with Garson Studios Santa Fe LLC to extend the term through August 26, 2025 for the lease of real property located at 1600 St. Michael's Drive. And we have Karen Iverson. Did I say it right? Good. Somehow I messed that up before. Metropolitan Redevelopment Director. Welcome. And I don't know, Councillor Lindell, I think you pulled this. I don't know if you wanted to have her talk about it at all, or you just want to dive in. Okay. Let's dive then.
Into the deep end of the pool we go. So, you know, this lease has, I haven't loved this lease for more than this amendment. I haven't liked it for a while. I'm never sure why it is that we're unwilling to increase our side of this lease or rework this lease so that there's all kinds of different ways to do these leases. I know that you know that. And B, that this tenant has some skin in the game in terms of tenant really doesn't pay rent unless they have subleased. And that may not legally be what it is, subleasing. But I don't know why we haven't asked for more out of this lease. And I think at times what happens with this is we don't think that it's going to go for very long, but it keeps getting extended. And in my mind, we could have done much, much better in return to the city on this lease. And, you know, this is the Fifth Amendment to it. And I don't know if it's the last amendment or not. None of us do really. but I surely would have liked to have seen us, increase our share. Maybe make it so that, you know, once a certain level is obtained, then we get a bigger percent that maybe the tenant pays more. During those times that it's not leased, the tenant's barely paying us. Or that the tenant has some responsibility for some of the maintenance costs. I don't know why we don't do that. There's a question in there. Why don't we?
Committee Chair, and Counselor Lindell, I don't disagree with you. But I do think it is our intention to have a development agreement in a matter of months. Not aware of any concrete tenant that's going to be in or that's going to be utilizing the property during this carryover period. Hopefully there is. I mean, that's why we're extending it. I mean, the intention of this was really to be the gap filler till we get the DDA executed, and then at that time, some of these assets would be transferred to aspects.
No, I just feel like, you know, I requested from you and you very, very promptly provided to me the, rent in the last, I don't know, was it the last year's worth that you gave me? I mean, we have we made about $2 million and, the tenant made about $2 million. I think that that's an astounding amount of money for that tenant to make off from this property with very, very little responsibility to the city. I don't want to see it continue. I don't think that it's good for the city. I don't think it's fair to the city, and it's not a commercial lease that if it were my property, I would sign. So, I mean, what's our date that we think that this is really done? Because this goes through 2025.
My best foresight glasses on, I anticipate us having a development agreement executed no later than November. So the time period was just, you know, really what the time period was for is because in order for the tenant to attract a film, they needed to have sort of site control for a period of time. So this document allows the tenant to market the site and have it for a period of time that cover a typical provides that continuity until Aspect Studios, the governing body, approves that agreement, would then be able to take over the ongoing marketing.
Seems like this property has been in high demand for a lot of months now. It's been certainly in demand that year, and it seems like the previous year also.
Yeah, I would say that, well, I mean, I'm looking at the income stream here. Sort of September, October, November were pretty low months for it. But in general, in part because of the hard work of the tenants and their relationships working within the film industry has been successful at recruiting good films, large films to use the site. And I think that I'll share with the rest of the council, you know, that I can use Albuquerque, and I drive by the I-25 studios, and they've been vacant for months. I can tell by traffic or the parking lot outside. So I don't think we can take for granted that just because we've been successful at Midtown, that all of the studios in New Mexico are full. Done a good job.
That's what makes them money. I mean, $2 million last year. That's a lot of money for a guy to make. So I mean, this is gonna pass, but I'm probably not gonna support it because, something can happen and this goes on for another year. We don't know. I mean, yeah, we're hopeful, but the other thing is, in terms of looking at the, agreement that comes to us from, Aspect, this place generates a lot of money. I mean, between Garson Studio entity and the city, that was over $4 million last year. So this is a valuable property, and we'll see what happens with it. But no, I like to try to wring every dime out of things that I can for the city of Santa Fe, and I don't think we've done.
Thank you, Counselor. Other questions from the committee? Counselor Falcon.
How much money has the city made off of this? Have we made money off of this? How much?
Chair Romero Worth, Counselor Faulkner. So in the past 12 months, the income to the property was $4.7 million. And we split that, 55% of it comes to this, an average of 55% of it comes to the city. So there was 2.6 million in the past 12 months. And then we have this entity that manages it, that's the location manager and the recruitment and marketing manager. He made that.
We're getting the majority of the profit made on the property. Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the committee? So we can just keep amending the contract to extend the term out for indefinitely, or is there a point at which you have to go and renegotiate a contract? Let's say we don't get the DBA done in the time frame that you're hoping, and something goes wrong. I guess to the counselor's point, how long do we keep going with this one, which I think is intended to be a gap filler and maybe is turning out to be more lucrative than possibly one would have thought under the terms that it was negotiated at? And at what point does somebody say, we should take a look at this if we're going to be doing it for a bunch longer?
I'm not exactly sure on the legal technicality of how long you go to amend something versus wholesale go back to people and negotiate. However, I would say that if we're in the same position, and if we are in 6 months and we don't have an agreement with Aspect Studios, that's probably an indication of something radically changing in terms of the direction of the property. And I hear and agree with the need to have back down.
Okay, well, I think, you've heard some concerns, and I get that it's a gap. It was a gap filler. It was to make use of the property to wring out every bit we could while we're in this transition phase. But if this transition phase takes a whole bunch longer, I think it's something that needs to be re-looked at and not just come back to us and say, extend it another half year, another year. Let's take, because then it seems like we're going to be in it for a while. Let's make sure that we really are getting the best deal we could given the current circumstances. So, all right. Are there other questions on this? And if not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Again. A motion and a second to approve this item. I think I need a roll call, right?
Yep, thank you, Madam Chair. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Faulkner,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. We are on to item Y. Request for approval of an amendment number 1 to the legal services agreement, item 23-0635 with Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and I think it's Schreck, am I right? LLP to increase the not to exceed amount by 100,000 for a new total of $216,375, including NMGRT for legal services regarding real estate transactions related to development and disposition of certain parcels of the Midtown property. And we have Pat Pagali here from the city attorney's office. And Councilor Lindell, I think you pulled this item as well.
Hi, thanks for being here. I just, I'm really curious why we can't have a local, legal firm work on this.
Sarah Romero Worth, counselors. The firm does have an Albuquerque office, so it's not entirely unlocal. But there was not any, this was the most qualified firm that we found for this particular very complicated, very long, process. That's why we went with this firm.
'Cause I didn't see on here that they were an Albuquerque firm. I saw that they were a Denver firm.
The lead attorney on it is based in Albuquerque.
And it's, why is this so much more complicated than other real estate transactions?
Counselors, Chair Romero Worth, because this is the first contract on Midtown, there are a lot of things that need to be worked out that are not usually an issue, such as who's building the road, what's happening to the electrical grid. Those are not usually issues that we have when we're selling real estate. Usually we're just selling real estate. It is not part of a master plan that the city controls. It's not, in this particular case, there are existing buildings that have existing leases with the city. There's a lot more things going on than are usually present in land that the city is selling or purchasing or leasing.
Know specifically what property this is?
It is the Aspect Studios that you were just discussing with the lease. It's also two other parcels. It's the area around that. It's also the Nildis Hall, which is slightly north, and a parcel just to the south of the studios, or southwest. It's what was in the RFP for this particular disposition.
What's the total on this contract?
I believe now it is up to $200,000 plus GRT. This was all budgeted for in the city attorney's office budget. We're just now taking this second piece of the money that was budgeted for it.
Counselor, it looks like, according to the caption, 216,375, including NMGRT.
So are we at a point with Aspect that
We're very close.
want to be spending $200,000 with attorneys to try to figure out?
Hopefully we won't use that whole amount with Aspect. That's just the amount that we could spend. We are, we have draft, we have negotiated basically everything in the draft. We're trying to nail down final parts. Director Iverson can talk more about specifics of how close we are on that, but the bulk of the work has been done, unless something drastically changes.
On page 13 of 24 in talks about disregard. So this takes it to 216. There's already 100. We've already committed 100, and this is looking for a second 100 on it.
Up to, yes. Correct. It's not necessitating that we would spend that entire.
Have we spent the other 100?
We are approaching that, and we did not want to exceed it without having additional funds when we're this close to finishing.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second?
Motion and a second to approve this item. Can we get a roll call, please, Director Oster?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Faulkner,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, we are down to the last item, item AC, consideration of resolution 2024, a resolution adopting the City of Santa Fe's 2026-2030 infrastructure capital improvements plan. And I'm not sure, was this pulled? I'm not sure why, who pulled this? I don't know what's happening here. Hold it. Okay, there we go. Counselor Cassett.
Thank you so much. I simply pulled this to adopt or move Amendment A. Director Wheeler, I know one piece that was put on there, but I think that there were a few other components. If you don't mind walking us through what the changes are between this and the original chart, that would be wonderful.
Okay, and just a pause, do we have, I'm refreshing, I don't have the amendment in my packet. Does everybody else? Oh, there we go. All right. Down at the bottom. Okay, sorry. Now I'm with you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Counselor Cassett, for the opportunity to talk a little bit about this. We did make 3 changes to the list that you see in the amendment, and it's not uncommon that as we go through the process, counselors will help us see opportunities to make improvements to the list, and we'll find a little error. So what the 3 things that are different is that we are showing existing funding for the wastewater treatment plant of 2.1 million. It was previously showing 0. And that includes the $1.6 million appropriation from the 2024 session, as well as some appropriation from the wastewater division working on their master plan for the replacement. So that's really important investment. And then we also added Councilor Cassett's suggestion of paving some critical residential streets that need paving. So that was a great add, and that's at spot 17 now. It took the place of, I think it was West Alameda. We moved a little down.
Looks like it's 15, actually.
Even better. And then the last but not last one, now it just slipped my mind. Oh, I know Counselor Garcia had suggested that we show that we're going to step on the gas on the Soccer Valley project. We had been showing that the big construction project would be awarded in 2028, and we moved it up to 2027. So that's why you see that 5.7 million moved up a year. And I think that is a great thing for the legislature to see, because they could start giving us funds towards that construction. It seems a little bit more imminent, and those are the changes.
Thank you so much. I have nothing further.
So did you
Oh.
move the amendment?
I think we need a main motion on the floor, right?
Yes.
So I will move to approve item AC.
I would motion a second on the main motion, and then can I move the amendment? Is your question on the amendment, Counselor, or on the bill, or on the list? Okay.
If you look at Amendment A and just scroll down, it'll show the list.
Can we get, can you, I think you emailed the list. Can you email this list once it's passed? So we have the most current version.
Absolutely. It's a much easier way to look at it, because you can do searches and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I'll definitely send it to everybody.
That'd be great. And maybe let's just wait till we approve it, but on This is on Wednesday night, correct? Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. Do you want to move the amendment?
Yes, move to approve Amendment A.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Amendment A. Do we have any further discussion, questions? Not seeing anybody wave at me. I guess we need to do a roll call on this.
Ready to vote? Okay. On the motion to approve Amendment A.
Yes.
Okay, great. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, okay, Counselor Faulkner, Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Romero Worth,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell. Motion passes.
All right, so now we have an amended ICIP list. Counselor Lindell, did you have questions before we go to the final vote?
Director Wheeler, would you please go through the three changes again?
Certainly, Madam Chair, Counselor Lindell. The first one is that now the Paseo Real wastewater plant, the second item on the list, shows that it has $2.1 million of funding already in hand. It used to show 0. And that's because we got 1.6 million in the 2024 session. And they have appropriated some funds towards master planning for the new plant out of wastewater. So that's, and it's always good to show that we've already got some money working on the project, we're not just showing a big fat 0 to start. So that was one change. Another change was that we added the paving of essential residential roads in item 15. We have a number of great sort of new projects on the list related to that. We have pavement and rehabilitation of residential roads. We have airport road pavement and drainage improvements. We have essential pavement rehabilitation on our arterials and collectors. And none of those 3 were on the list last year. So the new addition in this amendment is the pavement and rehabilitation of residential roads number 15. And then the last change is back up at the top again, related to the Saco Valley project, which is, I think, it's actually number 17. Oh, there it is. Saco Valley's number 7. And we had been showing that 5.75 million as being needed in 2028 because it could be quite a long design process. You can see we already have 6.975 million in hand for this project, or almost in hand. So that money will fund us for quite a bit of design and public engagement and even some preliminary construction if we can peel off some early pieces. So we had originally expected to award like the big competition grade field maybe in 2028, but what Councilor Garcia had suggested and staff agrees is that we'll be stepping on the gas on this project and we'll hope to award the big construction project in 2027. So that 5.75 million moved from 2028 to 2027.
Any other questions from the committee? Can we get a roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair, and this is on the motion to approve the bill as amended.
Yes.
Great. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Faulkner,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we do have, I'm just noticing, we do have an action item. Yeah, all right. So the action item tonight is consideration of bill number 2024-3, a bill relating to housing discrimination, defining source of income and prohibiting discrimination based on source of income, including sex in addition, quote unquote, sex in addition to gender as a, in addition to quote unquote, gender as a protected class, defining quote unquote owner and making technical corrections. And we have Alexandra Ladd, our project manager from the Affordable Housing Department. And I believe we have an amendment, and Counselor Cassett, I don't know.
Well, we actually do not have an amendment. Unfortunately, it has not yet been signed by the city attorney, so
It's in the packet.
no, that's your amendment.
My amendment. All right, so
Did we
maybe,
I think we already adopted that one, correct?
yes, we did. So, okay, so what are we doing?
Well, we were hoping to have an amendment here, so that we could actually add that before governing body and avoid amending the bill in governing body. Unfortunately, it is not ready, so I suppose it is up to the committee as to whether or not we want to.
I would be interested, and I think we have a little bit of time, to hear maybe what discovered and what your solution is and what staff thinks, and maybe we could just lay a little groundwork.
Absolutely. Alexander, I'm definitely going to need your technical assistance as always. So during the first public hearing, we did have some individuals who are very familiar with working with vouchers in particular, express some concerns. So we decided to pull it back so that we could have some more conversations with them and make some changes based on those. One change that we've made that is pulled from actually Albuquerque's ordinance on this has to do with if a landlord has a potential tenant that has a voucher and that landlord is in need of HUD approval or any approval to take the voucher, and it takes more than 5 days for whoever is supposed to make that inspection to actually come and inspect, they can move on to another renter so that we are not holding landlords up due to issues that are not of their making. Anything else on that one that I missed?
Madam Chair, Counselor Cassett, and I'm sorry I didn't refresh my memory on that exact language, but I think the idea was once they fail the inspection, there was a certain amount of time, wasn't there, where they could?
So it's also if they fail the inspection or if they need re-inspection, essentially there's a 5-day period that if the organization or the organization, institution, department that is supposed to provide that inspection, if they do not get to it within 5 days, wherever they might be in that inspection point, that they would not have to be held up.
Madam Chair, Counselor Cassett, I think the other significant change, but it's not a big one, but it was just to clarify the type of housing assistance to limit it to an actual government program, which could be HUD, it could be City of Santa Fe's rental assistance program, it could be the state's rapid rehousing, just something that has rules so that landlords can understand them, but also doesn't have the kind of uncertainty that might be connected to like a church program where they're only intending to help people out for 3 months, because then you put that landlord in that weird space where if they accept the 3-month voucher, then they can't have a 12-month lease. And some projects actually require a 12-month lease. But if they don't accept the voucher because it's not 12 months, then they get in trouble for not accepting the voucher. So we were trying to eliminate a little bit of that possible uncertainty that could happen by just clarifying that we're talking about an official voucher program, not some kind of sort of more fuzzy, squishy type of nonprofit assistance.
But it could be utilized if it's a nonprofit that is, for example, our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we use nonprofits as contractors. So it's, but again, that has that government backing. So there is that security that it would be there for a 12-month lease. And then the last was actually to delay the implementation of this. Just the source of income piece. Any other discrimination component in here is still in place and will not be delayed. But in terms of the source of income, we had a lot of conversations around landlords needing more education, some organizations being willing to reach out and create some outreach programs for landlords, and making sure that the understanding of how to work with the vouchers, what is required, is going to be available to individuals, so we're not putting them in a difficult position. As well as the Office of Affordable Housing needed some time to create an implementation plan. So we initially were going to say, that we would be, that the ordinance would come into place either 1 year from passage or when the governing body adopted an implementation plan. However, city attorney did suggest that we put a solid date on there. So right now, the suggested date, I believe, is August 1st of 2025. So that will give staff the opportunity to create that implementation plan, bring it to governing body for us to adopt and approve, as well as to create some more of the community education and outreach programs that would really make this successful. Did I miss anything there? At the moment, I believe the suggestion was August 1st. Again, yes, August 1st, 2025. So that should be what will come forward whenever we do have the opportunity to consider this amendment, whether we decide to take it back governing body or send it to another committee, as we have not been able to discuss the amendment in a committee yet in its final state.
Questions from the committee? Is there some reason? I'm just thinking about what do we need to do? Like, is there a reason why we're rushing this to governing body? Since we don't have the amendment here, should we hold it here?
Given that we are not even, that the implementation is a year away, I do not have any problem with holding it here at Finance. So we really do have an opportunity to fully discuss the amendment. Bless you. So I as sponsor have no problem with that. I really do believe that having the opportunity to discuss amendments at committee is important, and I'd rather do it at the committee level than at governing body. And again, this isn't going to hold up the time in which this would actually go into place. So I am more than happy to do that. I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay, I'd be more comfortable, because we don't have the motion, we don't have the amendment in front of us. If we could just hold it until we get it, and then we can, sometime, I mean, I'm glad to have a heads up about what's the work that's gone on to fix the problems that were identified at governing body, but rather than take up the governing body's time with this again, I guess I would prefer that we hold it over to the next meeting. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Councillor Lee Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know, and I don't know if this is a question for this amendment or for the bill itself, but I know there was a lot of discussion over if this is to pass and become a rule, or because it is a bill, and to change to our ordinance, would it cover the fact that if somebody who is a renter, is not a renter, a landlord, is forced to adhere to the thick rules of the HUD requirements, based on the fact that we're saying, you cannot discriminate to a person if they're going to pay with a voucher. However, if it's voucher backed by federal money, obviously, I think that's where the HUD stuff comes in. Did we address that either through this amendment, or is that somewhere in this amendment?
I'm happy to start, and Alexandra always fill in. So we did have that discussion, and really what we're looking at, again, this goes back to the 5 days for somebody to come and certify. But if HUD rejects them, the landlord has not rejected the voucher. So the landlord is not discriminating a source of income. They are not eligible. However, part of the implementation plan that we really want to work with, we know that there are state dollars. There's potentially potential for other federal or maybe city money that could be used to help landlords bring their units up to snuff. That's not a very official term, but In addition, when you look at the HUD requirements, they're not that off the rails. You know, there are things that should be there anyhow, you know, no cracks in stucco. You should, you know, your electrical system, should be in order. And they are things that we, would like to see landlords be doing with their units, which is why we also will be looking at what funding sources are available and how we can connect landlords with those. But if the voucher rejects the landlord, they have not rejected the voucher.
Thank you for the explanation. And I think that, again, it almost seems like as if it's kind of a loophole for people to possibly move forward without having to comply. But I'd like to, I would prefer also waiting to hear this again at another committee meeting instead of pushing it to governing bodies, is my feelings. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion?
I will move to hold this, move to postpone or move to hold?
Date certain.
Move to postpone until the next finance committee, which will take place on July 8th.
That's right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to postpone this item until our next finance committee meeting, July 8th. And if we could get a roll call, please.
Certainly, Madam Chair. On the motion to postpone item 7A to the next regular Finance Committee meeting on July 8th, Councillor Cassett,
Yes.
Councillor Lindell, Councillor Faulkner, Councillor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. We do not have an executive session. Thank you for being here, Director Ladd. Matters from staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have one update to share with you on vacancies in the Finance Department as we close out this fiscal year. So this is very exciting. As of today, we have 10 vacant positions, which is 17.5% vacant. We have a total of 57 positions in the Finance Department. This is the lowest vacancy rate that we've seen during my tenure since at least mid-2022. And I believe it's been quite a bit longer than that. At one point during the peak of the pandemic time, the vacancy rate was over 40%. So this reflects some really good progress. As a reminder, I started with the city in September of 2022. So I've been on the job just a little less than 2 years. And with regard to those 10 vacancies that are remaining, we have 1 advertised closing this week and 4 expected to start in July, hopefully on July the 6th, which the first workday would be the 8th at our next meeting. Of those, 1 is an internal promotion and 3 are external hires. So we're doing really well. We have 1 other position, the grants manager, which is post-interview. We're working with HR on the grade and salary for that position. We have 3 that are going to be advertised. Those are primarily because of internal promotions, that we have other positions becoming vacant. And then 1 held because we do have a vacancy credit. So based on our budget for FY25, we can't fill every vacancy. I hope that we'll be in a position in FY25 where we'll be pushing up against that vacancy credit, and we may come to you to request additional funding to fill more positions. I'm incredibly proud of our team. This takes a lot of work, filling all these positions, getting people on board, getting people trained and up to speed. So very proud of that work. And I really want to acknowledge that I absolutely believe that the new pay structure that was adopted as a result of the compensation and classification study is why we're seeing such a big jump forward. Prior to this point, the lowest number of vacant positions that we've had during my tenure has been 13. So, 3 additional ones being filled is great. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome all of our new team members to the team. Very happy to have new folks coming on board and to see that movement within our existing team with people getting promoted and moving up within our org structure. So exciting news on the vacancy front that I wanted to share with you this evening. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director. And just so I make sure I understand this, so you have 10 vacant, but you're about to fill half of those? Did I get that? Or
Madam
after
Chair.
you bring on 5, you'll have still 10?
Madam Chair, so as of today, we have 10 vacant. We have 4 scheduled to start in July, hopefully that first pay period, which is July 8th, and 1 more advertised. We also have 1 that's post-interview that we don't have an accepted offer yet. We're working on grade and salary. So it's possible, I'm going to say I'm 80% confident that at least 4 will start in July, and possible that a 5th will also. That's certainly the goal. So that would put us down to 5 vacant positions, which will be, you know, about all that we can do with the current budget.
Okay. I think you buried the lead in that report. I think you need to say that as of July 1st, you're going to have, 6, maybe only 5 vacancies.
Madam Chair, that is correct. I'm going to say as of July 8th.
As of early July. I know you accountants like to be very precise, which we appreciate. But so the 17.5%, I guess I could do the math, you did that based on the 10 vacancies.
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. I think it's a little rosier if you cast out to July. So it may be a governing body if you give the same report, which I don't think you will. So anyway, never mind. I've prolonged this long enough. Okay. Matters from the committee. Matters from the chair. Our next meeting is Monday, July 8th. Thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate it.